I wanted to share my story with you and explain why I made a transition from corporate 9 to 5 grind to van life full-time travel. My hope is that this may resonate with you and may inspire you to take that risk, take the chance, and start over and live a new lifestyle that makes you feel more fulfilled and more happy. So I spent my whole life doing exactly what I was told to do, exactly what society said was the normal thing to do. I went to college. I got a 4-year degree, which actually took me 9 years because I switched my major so many times and was so unsure what I wanted to do. I got a high-paying corporate job, my 9 to 5. I was commuting an hour and a half to work and then an hour and a half home every day, but I did it for the money. So that way I could buy a house. And I did that. I bought a house. I just spent all of my time maintaining and doing upkeep on this house, and working the rest of the time. And I had no time to figure out what actually made me happy. I didn't feel like what I was doing had any impact.
I know that I need to do more. I know that I cannot live this crushing anxiety, normal 9 to 5 life forever. It is not for me.
Like, okay, I went to school, I got the house, I did what I was supposed to do. I started to feel gradually more unhappy. I was just exhausted all the time. I had no time to ride the mountain bike I bought. I had no time to go hiking on the weekends because I had to deal with house things and life things and make sure my bills were paid. I just reached a point where I didn't want to do it anymore. So I decided to sell the house and trade in my Jeep for a van. And I told myself that I was going to self-convert a van, learn how to do it, and then I would enjoy the process, and that I was going to live in my van and I was going to travel around North America. My goal of doing this was to learn more about myself, to travel solo or with my dog, but really get in tune with who I am and what I love to do. So I traded in my Jeep and I got a van. It was an empty shell. There was nothing inside of it, and it felt really awkward to drive at first. Chilling in my van. It was scary. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to regret this or am I going to enjoy this? But I knew that it was my last chance to be happy, is just to start over, because the path I was on wasn't doing that for me. I moved into my sister's basement. My sister owned a house, and I moved into her basement, and I used the profits from selling the house to pay for the van conversion. And I spent 2 months every single day, 10 to 14 hours a day, converting that van. I went to my corporate job as I was nearing the end of my build, and I gave my notice. They asked me what they needed to do in order for me to stay, and jokingly I said, well, I'd want to work remotely 3 days a week, 100% remote, never come into the office, from my laptop, and they made a position for me. So here I was, I sold my house, I was living in my sister's basement, my van was nearing the end of completion on the conversion, and I had a remote job. There was nothing that was grounding me anymore to my old lifestyle. I finished up my conversion, and then I moved into my van. And man, I still had way too much stuff. So I ended up selling the remainder of my things and giving a lot away. It was actually a really liberating feeling to just know that everything I owned was contained inside of my van. And the first month or so of living in the van was really strange. I actually stayed local to my home state of Massachusetts just to figure out how it works. Where do I get water? Where do I shower? How's my dog going to handle van life? It was an adjustment period for the first month. I felt like I was ready after a month to hit the road, and that I would have everything that I needed and feel comfortable.
We are officially heading out. Right, Mar? Are you ready?
One of the biggest things is that my whole life I've been a planner. So I've always planned out everything. And I told myself that this time when I hit the road, I will have no agenda. I'm going to just drive and do whatever I feel like doing when I hit the road. And I did that. So I pulled out of my driveway and off I went with my dog Moop. And man, I was scared. But it ended up being one of the best decisions I have ever made in my entire life. Over the first few weeks, I got a series of campgrounds. I found some free overnight parking using the iOverlander app. And after a month of being on the road and just realizing that I get to set my own agenda, I've never felt so free in my entire life.
It's like a weird transition because I feel like I'm supposed to have some schedule and I don't, and yeah, so that's all.
It just sunk into my soul that I was doing the right thing, and it all just sort of clicked. And the funniest part is that I never realized how easy it actually is. I had built this up in my head that it was some crazy, complicated process, and it kind of was at first, the transition, but then I just didn't feel anxious anymore. I felt comfortable. My van started to turn into my cave, my home, my place to retreat to, and the van made me get outside more and experience more, and I just felt like I was finally becoming me, and that I wasn't making decisions according to anyone else's standards. The happiness that I felt on the road was so much deeper and more meaningful than anything I had done in my entire life. Because that's what lights my soul on fire, is to be out there, to be submersed in the culture of all these different places, to see as much as I can see in my short life, to live the best life I could possibly live.